After all this conflict with Robinhood and Bitcoin and Elon Musk, it's time to determine once and for all who will be the winner of this. And this can only be settled by giving every one of them an empire to battle it out in a galaxy in Stellaris. It's the absolute logical thing to do, and so we're gonna do it. First, we'll take the friendly-looking guys from Robinhood and make some kind of a megacorp out of them. Yeah, why not use fungoid names? Why use these boring human names, right? So what would they be? Would they be ingenious and thrifty? Well, they might get a little bit more trade value from people. So, always looking to make a good profit, whatever corners need cutting. Yeah, so they could be thrifty, and they could also be, maybe they were a little bit slow learners, right? That's discussable. And they like to be a little bit quarrelsome, maybe. But of course, they are also conforming to the normal rules of Wall Street. So they are also conformists. Here we go. What a nice empire. What would their homeworld name be? It's probably the Nothing Bacon Forest, and the star name would be Gump. No, what is negative and financial? It's random, right? So let's see. What are they? Would they have a humanoid city? Not necessarily, right? They're more in for like the reptilians, maybe. What would be their origin? It might be they will be starting to be a little bit in a post-apocalyptic world. We don't know if they'll survive, but let's just see if they survive. And then they'll be survivors of this post-apocalyptic thing. What are their ethics? What do you say? Do they have ethics? They're a corporation. Yeah, but also corporations have ethics. They're certainly a little bit materialist. They posed egalitarian, but it seems like they are more like maybe something else. And they could be, you know, they would just be very materialistic. That's probably the main thing that drives them. Materialism. What do they stand for? They certainly stand for ruthless competition. Oh wait, no they don't. Not anymore. That was only at the start that they stood for ruthless competition. Now they have very good public relations specialists. And they are also looking for maybe their brand loyalty. Yeah, that would be it. They're the absolute posers. They're the absolute posers. Do they have indentured assets? A media conglomerate? No, they're not that powerful. Robinhood Incorporated, and the adjective is Robin Hoan. Yes, of course. What kind of flag would they have? Blocky, like blockchains? No. Corporate identities. Let's see. What do we have there? No, I mean maybe something human, maybe something that would absolutely strike their pose. Yeah, it could be the pose. It could be, or maybe it's just money. It could be just money. I mean, it was some kind of hood, right? So let's see, is there some kind of hood? Maybe, yeah, maybe it's that hood. That looks like a hood. It could also be something from a weird conspiracy theory, but yeah, let's point this out. It is something like this. They have also been green always, and why not? Because green is a nice color. Here we go. What ships would they have now? For some odd reason, they have reptilian ships. They have a chief executive officer whose real name we now know. It's Laraf Uvi Balvivia. What color would he have? Maybe like, I don't know. Is that a color? Dark black. Yeah, I mean, he could be some kind of... He could be posing emo. That's probably the thing. Looking to that post-apocalyptic world in a like a black hole. What clothing would he have? Probably some kind of clothing that protects him, because he'll be spaced out, as we say in The Expanse, right? So, there's them, the corporation. The Robinhood Incorporated. Now, let's go to our next protagonist. Why did we have to remove that? Because there's, of course, more coming in. So first, we need a rather oldish corporation run by, I don't know, like old dwarves, maybe that, maybe like by halflings. It is probably the the GameStops. The GameStops, yeah. The GameStops, and they're GameStopen. What names would they have? Roughly human names. They're roughly human. So what would they be? At the moment they are weak, and they were at that moment solitary. They had no one to lean on, really, maybe even fleeting. But they also should have some strengths, because there are definitely some strengths in this. Traditional is what they could be, and they have taken some steps that make them extremely adaptive. That's why everyone sets hope into them. They're living like in a normal world, maybe in a continental world. In a continental world still. What could their home world name would be? It's probably the game planet. And the star name is playful. They could live in a city that is lush and still something of the past, full of plants. They could also be post-apocalyptic survivors, to be honest, but at the moment they're maybe a little bit in the void. So let's give them a void dweller trait. And their origin and their government and ethics. They are also a corporation. But what would they be? Maybe what would they have? Ruthless competition? Certainly not. Let's see. What else is there? Private military companies, indentured assets, gospel of the masses. Yeah, why not? They are currently the gospel of the masses, and you also have a certain, probably not a corporate death cult, a criminal heritage, probably not. There could be free traders. Yeah, they stand a little bit, nah, we need that for something else. So, brand loyalty. You would have brand loyalty with them. What could they also be? Maybe a little bit friendly and a pacifist. They don't want trouble.
Just a click away.
Yeah, they may be a little bit diplomatic. Why not? Let's see. The Gamestop Star Church. What could their flag be? Yeah, I know. I mean, it's some writing, so they could have some cryptic writing here. Maybe that means GameStop in the language of these hobble dobbles. Here we go. It's yeah. Why not keep these colors? They're roughly humanoid. Why not? And the ruler is I don't know. It's Portalot. Sir Portalot. Yeah, they were holding candles. They're doing a lot of traditional things, you know. They're just these nice traditional people. And that's the Gamestop Star Church that also will be in this. Then we have another protagonist. It's actual humans. Let's name them. It's the Redditors. The actual humans. They could have just normal names. You never know. What could they be? I mean, they're certainly a little bit intelligent, and maybe they're feeling they're naturally social. They might be deviants. Yeah, that's maybe the best description. They might be deviants. So, what would their homeworld be? Well, it's of course it's Reddit, and it's the Red Star of Rabbit, a lush tropical world where all kinds of things thrive and prosper. They could have a mammalian city, open to animalistic instincts, but still very much feeling at home. One could say they could be maybe supported by Maybe they're supported by ancient powers. I think they're just a prosperous unification. They're just very prosperous. And they're actually not a corporation. They're some kind of democracy. Definitely some kind of democracy. They're also maybe a little bit materialist, but they're mainly egalitarian. They're a beacon of liberty. Oh, maybe an idealistic foundation.
Do not be afraid to exercise your individual right to free thought. Please take a moment now to practice.
Yeah. So that's that. So they're kind of a democracy. The Redditor commonality. Yeah, why not? That seems good. Let's just take the friendliest thing we can get from here. Maybe it's that. It's the angels. It's the angels of this, and they're coming to rescue us. The Redditor commonality. They would have very comfy ships. The standard ships that everyone would have. And they're led by Envy Swami. Why not? That sounds like a nice name. Maybe close to numbers. Let's use the absolute stereotypes here in an ironic way. Asian. The Asian number geniuses of Wall Street bets, maybe. That's a little bit wild. No! We want that back. Yeah. The clothing. Yeah, it'd have fancy clothing. But still, you know, with class. Definitely with class. So here we go. That's the Redditors. The Redditor commonality. So whom else is in this? Robinhood, Gamestop. There's something something different. Yeah, there's also other humans, you know. There's humans like they look a little bit like this maybe. And you might call them the hedgefonds. And these humans like to think they're part of a Roman elite. They made their first bucks by selling hedges everywhere, because hedges divide, and that's really what this is about. And they are what describes them best? They are of course thrifty, and they tend to be rather old in now, maybe a little bit not behaving that you would like them. And I don't know, I don't think they breed much anymore. So there's that. They're living at the moment in a very cold climate. What is their homeworld name? It's probably the Wall Street, and it's the star name is the capital. One might say they may be Arctic reptilians, and so that's their origin. Even though they look like human, they're definitely supported by some fallen empires behind. So they're scions. They're very, very authoritarian. Well, maybe let's see here. What can we do here? They're a little bit authoritarian because they're also a corporation. That's very important. They're a corporation. They could be a xenophile operation because a xenophobe operation. They don't want anything to mix them up. Or militarist? Yeah, maybe a little bit militarist. I think they like to invest in that. So maybe xenophobe and militarist. Yeah, why not? Why not that? They might have some indentured assets working for them, and yeah, sometimes in some. Yeah, some origins, there has been a little bit of insider trading. Yeah, nothing you would get something more than a fine, but like that little touch, because if you're going to the edge, you sometimes fall off it. And that's unfortunate, but you have to do it to succeed, right?
As the learned sign.
Exactly. And that's what we're going for here. The Hedgetor monopoly. Yeah, it got it right there. It just plays itself. Now let's see, where is that? Yeah, no, still not. Maybe they would have something imperialistic, something like this. Like it's the eagle that flies above it all. It's the eagle that only knows one way, upward. And maybe the colors are a little bit boring. You never know. They take the classic avian ships because they look best. And they're provided by Ferrari. Or by Rolls-Royce. Maybe it's a man called, I don't know, just for going for a random name, Leo Copperman. First sold copper, then sold hedges, so he became the oligarch of the hedge monopoly. Out of that. So what would they have here? Maybe, is there something, yeah, there's the gold, you see? That's something to speculate with. What clothes would he have? Is there something slick? A slick suit? Or maybe that has probably real fur. That's something you would go for. The rural title of oligarch isn't too bad, but it's just for something. They have that spiritual background, maybe also a little bit, even if they're materialist now. And like it's the silent crier, the silent crier, because yeah, he never complains too much openly, but only a bit. So that's the hedgetor monopoly. Now we got more people who are invested in this, and this is already, it has reached the political parties. So let's create a party that one could call maybe the, I don't know. Let's just give it some humans, some rather maybe different humans, a little bit different, just a little bit, good looking, kinds of things like that. Maybe a little bit younger looking than normal. And let's call them the Democrats. The Democrats are not really that much about money. There are other factions that would be more about money, but they're Democrats. So what names would they have? They're normal names, just normal names. Here we go. What could they be? They could be, I don't know. One could say they are normally, they're posing as chums. So what would be a chum? They would be maybe a little bit communal. Communal, certainly, and maybe a little bit on the side of the people, or at least, yeah, not that extreme, maybe, but at least posing as that. So maybe they're also rather sociologists. Here we go. So they're living on a world that is maybe a little bit hotter than normal. Are they also living in the tropical world? Might be. They're just living in the continental world, really. So the home world of them would be. They just call them maybe the states, and who knows what states, right? No one knows which states, and their star name would be Bama, for no particular reason. The Bama star, and they could be, I don't know. Let's just say they're living the lush. They kind of like to live in something like maybe like a utopia or something like that. They might have had a calamitous birth. No, then they would be stones. They might stand for common ground. They might stand for a common ground, probably. Yeah, that's something they would stand for. Stand for a common ground, and they have a tendency to be rather democratic. So, but maybe a little bit bureaucratic too, and just very effective in that. So, and they might be a little bit egalitarian, and they might be a little bit liking other people. They might be, they're not really pacifist anymore. They're rather a little bit on the side of science. Here we go. So there's that. So that would be them. Let's make them, I don't know.
Priority alert.
Just original. The United Democrat Union. Yeah, so they are mixing in, and what would they have? Maybe some kind of animal, right? So logical would be right. So let's give them some kind of animal. What kind of animal? Maybe that. That's fitting what they are. And for some reason they really like the color blue, and maybe a little bit purple too. You never know. You never know. Yeah, they have just some rounded feng shui ships, and they're led by, in this case, a chairwoman. Let's just call them ACO. They are led by ACO. They would have a nice background, maybe with some plants, some decorations. They would have some nice and respectable clothing. Maybe their clothing is like similar to that of the Redditors. Yeah, that could be. That could maybe the way. So we have the Democrat Union. And of course nothing of this has anything to do with reality. I would certainly... Then we have the others. They are maybe a little bit more... They look a little bit more belligerent. Maybe a little bit more like... You would say a brown neck or a green neck. You never know. And they call themselves the real publicans. Or I don't know, publicans? Yeah, the real pubicans. The real pubicans. That sounds better. That sounds way better. Real pubican. What kind of name list would they have? They would probably have that. Yeah. Just a normal. RP. So they love to pose. They love to like dress up as something else. Maybe a shaman. Maybe something else from time to time. What else would there be? Hard to tell. They're certainly a little bit traditional, rather traditional. Maybe they like to be strong. They don't like to be seen as weak, so they might be strong. But they're a little bit, I don't know, maybe not that harshly looking onto resources or their life. They're just living the life, right? Without looking too much at the consequences. Something that would really bring life down for them a little bit. And I'd rather get this away and make them a little bit unruly. That's probably a better description. They like to be like they like to show their strength in their unruliness. That's something better. And they're thinking like more a little bit like engineers probably, and also. Yeah, they also want to pose as being tough. So they're tough. They're tough. So what's their homeworld name? Their homeworld name is like it's called it had elephants. So it had some kind of it had like something like rhinos. Rhinonion. And the star name could be it's Brump, because that's the sound that rhino makes when it really steps up. It's the Brump star. They're living in a little bit of warmer world where like the poles have melted, things like that. They don't care. They just enjoy the beaches. Here we go. They have really rock intense worlds, and maybe they're a little bit of a. They would like the idea to have to be a hegemonic. So they cannot be xenophobes or fanatic xenophobes or egalitarian or fanatic egalitarian. Yeah, they're certainly not that, but they are maybe a little bit authoritarian. They're also kind of that oligarchic, maybe that would be a good description for them. They're certainly a little bit spiritualist at least, and maybe a little bit, they like weapons, right? They like weapons. They like weapons. And their citizens also like to have weapons. Yeah, one could even say they have some kind of warrior culture.
Challenge.
Yeah, indeed. So, the Real Republican Citizen Union, that sounds about right. What would be their flag? Their flag. For some reason I have zoological vibes with this. Yeah, that could be the rhinos, right? The rhinos. That's definitely a rhino's head. And one could have, yeah, red is a good color for that, and maybe what it would be the secondary color? I don't know. It could be, or maybe gray. Yeah, because they like that. They like that touch. So that's the secondary color actually. The primary color should be red, of course. Here we go. And what would they have? Maybe they could have something rather conflicting, something with rocks, something where you would need mining. So strategos. Let's see. They're led by a strong male called. Let's just name him Todd Crocs. Todd Crocs. That sounds really strong. What would they have? They would have some kind of weaponry behind them, right? Or something that looks at least intimidating. Something that it's about the pose of looking strong. It's the real Republican citizen stratocracy, oligarchic. So they are also, for some reason, they are also in this. Then there's some fascinating corporation led by a name called by a strange half cybernetic man that warns of the AI because, yeah, maybe not cybernetic, maybe absolutely not cybernetic. That could be, but he would have like a huge head because he's so intelligent. Maybe like that. I mean, he has had some face operations, so you don't really see that he looks like that anymore. And that these guys, because of their placid smell, they're called they're called the musky. Yeah, they have that beautiful smell. Yeah, that beautiful smell, and they give them their people very, very strange names that no one could remember. They are human names, certainly, that's for sure, but their offspring always gets the strangest names, the absolute strangest names. There's that. What traits would they have be? They are a little bit obsessed with being good engineers and being very intelligent and things like that, and learning quickly. These things are what really makes them go. And they might also be a little bit, certainly deviant, sedentary. I mean, they're living the life to the fullest, so they're a little bit fleeting here. That's also why they need to learn that quick. And they're also living in that lush world. And their homeworld name would be I don't know, the Poi Pal, and their star name would be the Tsla. Then we would have, what would they have? They would rise to the skies. The sky is something very big for them. Avian City. Let's see, where do they are starting on the galactic doorstep. Just steps before getting up there. Getting out there. They're really very materialist. Maybe a little bit, no, not really egalitarian. Let's see, what could they be? Maybe a little bit authoritarian even. That could be, because their leader has a certain authority that is carrying them through it, and they certainly also have public relations specialists. They're very good at diplomacy. They are not really into franchising, but they might believe in free trade. They might believe in free trade, or they might believe into brand loyalty. Brand loyalty is, I think, the big thing for them. So,
no great advance is made without great sacrifice.
Yeah, and they're rather technocratic.
Must be led down the path of reason.
The path of reason. The musky star conglomerate. Where would we have that? What symbol would we choose for that? Maybe something planetary, something mysterious, something symbolizing progress, something in colors unforeseen. The leader is it's a male called the Melon Husk, because he's a little bit husky. He's like a husky. He's smiling friendly, but he can be a fierce fighter. He would have very good design and things like that, and posing perfectly. In everything that is bound to go for profit and scientific progress. The musky star conglomerate is ready. It's on the galactic doorstep. And there's something else that is mixing in now. That's two some very interesting, also rather corporate identities. And the one thing is like a more venerable corporate identity. That's that. It's informed from all. It's connected to all things web-like. It's the Bitcoin. It's the Bitcoins people. They are like, they have their roots in the capital. That's why they're called like that. They're giving themselves also fancy names. Certainly they are also, of course, very, very thrifty. They exist for that purpose. Thrift. They're maybe going for an arid world, rather. Their homeworld name would be the coin, and the star name is crypto for some reason. And we would live maybe in a... yeah, maybe also in that solid kind of world. Even though they're selling dreams partly, and that's the spiritual part of them. Or are they just, at the moment, very prosperous? Yeah, they could be very prosperous. They're also rooted in materialism, definitely, and maybe they're really into trade, so they like to be xenophile. They like other races, as long as they can trade with them. It's fine. It's definitely fine. I don't know if they're pacifist. Maybe they're also pacifist. But no, I think they are just materialist. Let's see, they're certainly not that democratic, but they're a corporation. They like their stuff to be used everywhere, so they're franchising that, and they like everything to be free. So they're free traders. That's their thing. That's their absolute thing. So they like to pose as something like the worker.
Workers of the galaxy, unite.
And it's the Bitcoin Shipping Alliance. Yeah, definitely that's a good thing. And for some reason they have this symbol, like a rising sun at a blue horizon. Here we go. The rising sun. It's coming. It's lifting itself to the stars. And they could be led by Meltol Ala Upnal. Yeah, why not? It's like, and that's one of their symbols. They really rely on those symbols. Their clothes are very ornate, very just something that looks expensive. That's fine for them. So the Bitcoin Shipping Alliance, and then we have something else that has only recently added to that, and that's, let's see, yeah, that looks fine. It's the Dogecoiners. And they're maybe a little bit more egalitarian than the Bitcoiners. They want rather normal names. What are they? They're just people like you, like me. They are maybe, I don't know. They like to hang together, for certain, and they like to conserve their money, and maybe also a planet or something like that. So they could be like that. Why not? That could be their only thing. They're not extremely traditional or something, or extremely intelligent or nerdy. No, they're just the people like you and me. Their home world is called home because they like their home. And their star name is called... it's for some reason, it's the Mimi star. And they just have a normal city. I think they've lived since in some kind of ring of existence. And now that ring has been broken and they have awakened. They are starting with a partially destroyed ring world. They're living the life, they're very democratic, but they're also a little bit corporate maybe. No, they're rather democratic actually. That's just their thing. They have a parliamentary system, and maybe they have an idealistic foundation. That could be it. Yeah, look at that. So they have to be a little bit egalitarian. They share their burdens, and they have an idealistic foundation. But they're also parliamentary? Nah, maybe it's more about sharing the burdens and the idealistic foundation. And in general, they are looking... Are they looking for trouble? Not necessarily. They like other aliens mostly. And some they don't like, but well, they're just like that. They're really the worker. They're not just posing as the worker. It's the Dogecoin Cooperative, and let's have a look at their flag. What could be their flag? They like to think they're free. Free like pirates, but like just some nice animal here, right? That could be a nice animal here. And what would be their colors? Maybe just like friendly, uniting colors, and like a uniting pose. Like they want to rise together, definitely. Maybe they do that so in purple and in orange. That's that's a very peaceful combination of. They want to thrive, so maybe they have plantoid ships even. They have a presiding speaker, but it's not clear. It could be like anyone. Let's take Moratua Mzibi. Why not? What are their rooms? Their rooms could be. Yeah, it could be just a beautiful room like this. The clothing could be like everyone's clothing, but a little bit comfy, on the comfy side. Just as you would stay inside most of the time. In their ring world. So that's the Dogecoin Cooperative. And now I don't think we have any specific protagonists missing. I think it's time to start the competition between these parties. Thankfully, I have some experience. Let's see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 parties with that. My goodness. So we want to have 8 AIs. Whoop. Let's have like the medium. The medium is absolutely okay. We need 1 fallen empire for the guys who are science. We don't need marauder empires. Tech tradition cost, yeah, that can also always be the same. The galaxy shape could be elliptical. Why not? Crisis strength. Let's keep that all on normal. Empire placement at random. Maybe it's a little bit aggressive, but maybe not. Maybe it's just as it goes. It's just normal people. They can be xenocompatible, we don't care, it's fine. It's fine. Everyone can have what they want. So we're going into the galaxy right now as a Dogecoin Cooperative. The communal parity of the Dogecoin Cooperative. And we're now going to start. Yeah, we're starting on the meme world, as you can see. To observe. So we see it all. The glory of this galaxy, and let's see what happens if all of them like battle it out. Let's first see. Yeah, we have some extra factions. Some extra factions because the United Democrat Union and the Republican Citizen Union for some reason have some unknown forces that influence them as well and that are like connected to them. So there's that. Then we have the Dogecoin Cooperative, the Musky Star Conglomerate, the Bitcoin Shipping Alliance, the Robinhood Incorporated, the Redditor Commonality, the Gamestop Star Church, and the Hedge Monopoly. They're all there. We have a fallen empire that is fittingly a machine empire. Well, isn't that a good thing? While we see the galaxy progress, we will have a commented reading of Section 4 of Marx Capital, the fetishism of commodities, and the secret thereof. A commodity appears at first sight a very trivial thing, and easily understood, you know. Everyone likes his commodities. Its analysis shows that it is in reality a very queer thing, abounding in metaphysical subtleties, in theological niceties. So far as it is of value in use, there's nothing mysterious about it, the commodity, whether we consider it from the point of view that by its properties it is capable of satisfying human wants, or from the point that those properties are the product of human labor. It is clear as noonday that man by his industry changes the form of materials furnished by nature in such as a way to make them useful to him and to create something that has no contact with reality in him anymore. It shall be called the crypto coin, or it shall be called the short selling speculation. The form of wood, for instance, is altered for example, by making a table out of it, also the morning wood. Yet for all of that, the table continues to be that common everyday thing. Wood, but, yeah, Robin Wood maybe. But so soon as it steps forth as a commodity, it is changed into something transcendent. And is it not that we all want to become transcendent? It not only stands with its feet on the ground, but in relation to all other commodities. It stands on its head and evolves out of its wooden brain grotesque ideas far more wonderful than table turning ever was. The mystical character of commodities does not originate, therefore, in their use value. Just as little does it proceed from the nature of the determining factors of value, for in first place, however varied the useful kinds of labor or productive activities may be, it's a physiological fact that they are functions of the human organism, and that each such function, whatever may be its nature or form, is essentially the expenditure of human brain, nerves, muscles, etc. Secondly, with regard to that which forms the groundwork for the quantitative determination of value, namely the duration of that expenditure or the quantity of labor, it is quite clear that there is a palpable difference between its quantity and quality. In all states of society, the labor time that it costs to produce the means of subsistence must necessarily be an object of interest to mankind, though not of an equal interest in different stages of development. At some point it may be decoupled from reality. Once the fundamentals are fulfilled, we become transcendent in a totally different form. And lastly, from the moment that men in any way work for one another, the labor assumes a social form, and the money assumes a belief form. And there may be a belief in entities that are not at all human anymore. That may be a corporation, maybe even a corporation, a social corporation. Whence then arises the enigmatical character of the product of labor so soon it assumes the form of commodities, clearly from this form itself. The equality of all sorts of human labor is expressed objectively by their products all being equally valued. The measure of the expenditure of labor power by the duration of the expenditure takes the form of the spiritual quantity of value of the products of labor, and finally the mutated relations of the producers within the social character of their labor affirms itself, take the form of a social relation between the products, the producers, and the buyers, the consumers and the consumed, the capital and the capitalists, the social and the socialism. A commodity is therefore a mysterious thing, simply because in it the social character of men's labor appears to them as an objective character stamped upon the product of that labor, because the relation of the producers to the sum total of their own labor is presented to them as a social relation, existing not between themselves, but between the products of their labor. This is the reason why the products of labor become commodities, social things, whose qualities are at the same time perceptible and imperceptible by the senses, a lush thing from the heavens, or maybe a form of evil that might blight us, or a form of good that might bless us. In the same way that light from an object is perceived by us, not as the subject excitation of our optic nerve, but as the objective form of something outside the eye itself. But in the act of seeing, there is at all events, there is tweets, and there is action. An actual passage of light from one thing to another, from the external object to the eye. There's a physical relation between physical things, and there's a psychological relation between commodities that only exist in the space out there of imagination, of capital imagination, of financial imagination, of an imagination that is greater than ourselves, that transcends us and makes us the capital. There's a physical relation between physical things, but it is different with commodities. They are the existence of the things qua commodities, and the value relation between the products of labor, which stamps them as commodities, have absolutely no connection with their physical properties. And with the material relations arising therefrom, there's a definite social relation between men that assumes in their eyes the fantastic form of a relation between things. In order, therefore, to find an analogy, we must have recourse to the mist-enveloped regions of the religious world, the world of Dogecoin. There's some more interesting parts here, though. Since Robinson Crusoe's experiences are a favorite theme with political economists, as they would do, right? Taking some romantic novel as a base of their mode of thinking, let us take a look at him on his island. Moderate though he be, yet some few wants he has to satisfy, and must therefore do a little useful work of various sorts, such as making tools and furniture, taming goats, fishing and hunting. With prayers and the like we take no account, since they are joy and pleasure to him, and he looks upon them so much recreation. In spite of the variety of his work, he knows that his labor, whatever its form, but the activity of one and the same Robinson, and consequently that it consists of nothing but different modes of human labor. Necessity itself compels him to apportion his time accurately between his different kinds of work, whether one kind occupies a greater space in its general activity than other depends on the difficulties, greater or less as the case may be, to be overcome in attaining the useful effect aimed at. This our friend Robinson soon learns by experience, and having rescued a watch, ledger, and pen and ink from the wreck, commences like a true-born Briton to keep a set of books. His stock book contains a list of the objects of utility that belong to him, of the operations necessary for their production, and lastly of the labor time that definite quantities of those objects have, on an average, cost to him, and all the relations between Robinson and the objects that form this wealth of his own creation are here so simple and clear as to be intelligible without exertion, even to Mr. Sedley Taylor, and yet those relations contain all that is essential to the determination of value. And still, the value is something spiritual these days. The value is something that transcends the materialistic form. The value is something that comes from commodities, but the value also comes from beliefs. There's an inherent belief in companies, in corporations, in organizations that transcend normal human lifespans, or that transcend feelings, that send us all to feelings that we had when we were much younger, that connect us to a time that is yet to come, to a time that had been, to a time that had been great for us. Let us now transport ourselves from Robinson's island bathed in light to the European Middle Ages shrouded in darkness. Here, instead of the independent man, we find everyone dependent, serfs and lords, vassals and suzerains, laymen and clergy. Personal dependence here characterizes the social relations of production just as much as it does other spheres of life, organized on the basis of that production. But for the very reason that personal dependence forms the groundwork of society, there's no necessity for labor and its products to assume a fantastic form, different from their reality. They take the shape in the transactions of society, of services in kind and payments in kind. Here the particular natural form of labor, not as in a society based on production of commodities, is general abstract form, is the immediate social form of labor. Compulsory labor is just as properly measured by time as commodity-producing labor. But every serf knows that what he expends in the service of his lord is a quite definite quantity of his own personal labor power. The tithe to be rendered to the priest is more matter of fact than his blessing. No matter then what we may think of the parts played by the different classes of people themselves in this society, the social relations between individuals in the performance of their labor appear at all events at their own mutual personal relations, and are not disguised under the shape of social relations between the products of labor. For an example of labor in common or directly associated labor, we have no occasion to go back to that spontaneously developed form, which we find on the threshold of the history of all civilized races. We have one close at hand in the patriarchal industries of a peasant family that produces corn, cattle, yarn, linen, and clothing for home use. These different articles, as regards the family, so many products of its labor, but as between themselves, they are not commodities. Different kinds of labor, such as tillage, cattle tending, spinning, weaving, and making clothes, which result in the various products, are in themselves, and such as they are, direct social functions, because functions of the family, which just as much as a society based on the production of commodities possesses a spontaneously developed system of division of labor. The distribution of the work within the family and the regulation of the labor time to the several members depend as well upon differences of age and sex as upon the natural conditions varying with the seasons. The labor power of each individual by its very nature operates in this case merely as a definite portion of the whole labor power of the family, and therefore the measure of the expenditure of the individual labor power by its duration appears here by its very nature as a social character of their labor. And this social thing is bringing the people together. They've split up, paid their share, they've gotten their fair share maybe, and now they invested that fair share into the capital that now indeed takes a spiritual form, a form of rebellion, of the proletariat. Against what? Against the formless form that capital assumed, that even the capital itself doesn't want. Some call it a purge of the markets, some call it a plague of companies. But there's only one company that is good company. It is your company. Let's continue with the video. Let's see where we stand now. Yeah, the GameStop star chart has triumphed. The Reddit commonality as well. They don't even see all the people. The Dogecoin Cooperative, doing very nicely. Bitcoin Shipping Alliance, very good. Musky Star Conglomerate, look at it. It's doing fine for itself. Here we go. There have been not that many wars, not openly. But there's a lot of alien vessels, a lot of space stations all around here. The Hedge monopoly is kind of going down a little bit. They're quarreling a bit with Robinhood Incorporated, apparently. And the real pubican citizen union is, I don't know, is somehow not that great. Even though they've gained a lot of terrain, they don't seem to have real power. Something popped up that's called the Suivan Syndicate. I think they left the Republicans. Then we have the Republic of Dubwix. And yeah, they are led theoretically by the United Democrat Union, but they were boxed in from the start, so they wouldn't do anything. Ah, well, but there's a democratic human mandate as well. It's just somewhere in the nowhere. We cannot really see where it is. Oh, it's just popped up here. Look, Sol. Sol has found it itself. Another thing. And the Anathurian Corporation has popped up here. So what do we learn from this? GameStop is undefeatable. The Redditor community will also win. Dogecoin and Bitcoin are going very stable, as well as the Musky Stars. The Hedgetors are still going on at their game, but really, as much as Robinhood, they seem to be fading stars. And in this giant galactic conflict, it seems like the traditional alliances don't really work anymore. Thank you for watching, my friends, and happy gaming. This is Immanuel Can signing out. I wish you a free market and happy investing. This is Immanuel Can signing out. See you soon and happy gaming.